Hi, Deb Pervin here with another Tuesday Tweak. Today we're going to talk about forecasting the future. Okay, last week I talked about preparing for the next year. And the number one thing I said was to complete your forecast. And I had a lot of folks call me and go, "How do we do that?" So today we're going to talk about completing your forecast. So this was also in last week's slides. If you don't know where you're going, any road will take you there. So the goal of setting a forecast is to give you a picture of where you want to be. Where do you want to be in 3 years, 5 years, 10 years? You pick the time frame, but then let's figure out how to get there. So you're going to need to set goals. There are 3 typical goals that I see. A sales price in 5 years, I want to sell my company for X amount of dollars. Now you can change that. If it's too small, if it's too big, you can change it as time goes on. But it's important to set a line in the sand. This is what I'm going to try to accomplish. Revenue targets, typically, profit targets, those are all data points that many entrepreneurs use to determine where they're going, forecasting the future. And then my recommendation is you reverse engineer that number. Okay? So what do I mean by that? Well, I'm going to give you a couple of examples. Oops, but we're going to go the right way. Let's go the other way. So reverse engineering. Let's assume that we're going to start with revenue growth. Let's say in 3 years, I want to be at $5 million. So you can see from the chart, $5 million is the desired fiscal year end revenue in 3 years, and our current revenue is $1.5 million. So that means annual growth of 1.166 or $1.1 million or $1.2 million. Now, obviously the growth is not going to be straight line. We're going to recognize that it's going to be lower the first year and then higher the second year, and the third year we want to hit that $5 million number. So maybe we're at 900, $1.2 million, $1.5 million, something like that. As Jim Collins says in Good to Great, you have to get that flywheel spinning, and because you have additional capacity, additional resources, additional processes and knowledge, you're going to be able to grow faster in the later years because you've got all those things in place. Then once you may slow down, but probably not at this stage. And then you ask yourself, how do I hit that annual growth? So then we go and we look at your clients. How are your clients doing? Well, in this case, there's an average client contract of $250,000, which means you'll need 4 new client contracts in order to hit that number, or 4.7 to hit that number. Now, obviously, you're not going to get them all at once. They're going to come in over a period of time, but that's 1 client per quarter. And when you look back, you see last year you signed 3 clients, so that's probably a doable number. So you're going to massage it because you may be able to get more later. You may lose some clients. Your tenure for your clients is 4 years, so you've got to learn how to stretch that out. So there's a number of different variables in here we haven't really discussed, but it gives us a place to start building our budget for next year with a forecast in mind. The second thing a lot of people look at is sales. I want to sell my company in 3 years for $5 million. Now we know revenue and sales are not the same. So we look at the current EBITDA of $750,000, and we determine that in this industry for the last couple of years, the companies have been selling at a 3.5 times multiple. Okay, so 3.5 times EBITDA, which gives the current company a value of $2.6 million. So how are we going to grow to get a value of $5 million? Well, we're going to look at our EBITDA. To hit that $5 million value, we're going to have an EBITDA of 1.4 or 1.430, all right? Which gives us an annual EBITDA growth of $225,000. So that's about a third of what our current EBITDA is, with a 20% EBITDA margin. So our annual sales have to increase by $1.1 million. Again, we have to look at those variables. Okay, how are we going to do that? Go back to the same example with our client contract at $250,000. We need 4.5 clients per year over the next 3 years to hit that $5 million sales price. Now, if we hit that, and if we're capable of hitting all these EBITDAs, the value will be $5 million, but the actual revenues will be 7.1. Again, you see the variance and the differences. Now, you still have to figure out what your average client value is, how much you make on EBITDA. So EBITDA has a number more valuables than revenue, because revenue is top line. EBITDA, we have to make sure that our variable costs and our fixed costs are all in line. So there are a few more calculations involved in the EBITDA, and we have to know what our multiples are for our industry and what that range is. That's certainly a number I can give you. So I hope that gives you a place to start thinking about, where do I want to be? Let's reverse engineer it back to where you are today, and then let's look at today's budget. Let's look at the budget for this coming year. If you need help, I'm happy to talk to you. If you have any questions, here's my contact information. This is Deb Purvin. Have a great week.